We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. Nick Barris along with Allison Fields, our veterinarian, with us. It's always good to see her. She and I go way back.
We do. We've been doing this for a long
We're
time.
We're like siblings.
We
I'll
are.
start talking. She'll finish my sentence.
Yeah. Or correct him.
But more often. You're right. All right. We've got some phone calls. Let's get to those. Lines open if you want to jump in for Allison. And let's go to, we've got a couple Kathys. Let's go to the first Kathy. Kathy, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Kathy.
Morning.
How can we help you?
Just wondering, I notice when I give my dog the NexGard flea prevention, and I notice some of the symptoms are itching. What do you suggest that is the best flea thing to take care? I just worry about him having a reaction to the NexGard.
Well, I love NexGard. It's what my dog is on. She's due for it
Does
today.
he ever itch after taking it?
No, and if that's the case, it may be that your dog isn't allergic to the flea and tick control in it, but the flavoring in it.
Okay.
So sometimes that can be a problem. You might want to talk to your veterinarian and see, I mean, it depends on, I mean, is it itching for days or is it just at that time or?
See, I just feed him special blend because I noticed that certain foods would bother his skin. And then since I've stopped the NexGard, I just wanted to try and see what was going on. So I put him on special blend, and it's been wonderful. But I want to give him NexGard because of the fleas, but should I just see if he starts the itching process again and take it from there?
I'd go ahead and give him the NexGard and conduct an experiment and see. I mean, give him the NexGard, see what you get if he's not itchy, because you've changed a couple of things. You changed the food, and so if you're going to do a true, you know, controlled scientific experiment, then you need to change one thing at a time. So if you change the food,
that's what I did, and he's not itched at all. So now I'm ready to give the NexGard.
Yeah, I would do that. I would give it and see what you get. And if he's itchy, then it's probably not the medication, but the flavoring, because NexGard is super yummy, and I think it really is. I have yet to have a dog that won't eat it. It has, I think, beef flavoring in it, so that may be what the dog's problem is. So if your dog is still itchy with that, you know, if it's just for a couple of days, maybe you just kind of get over it, but if it's for, you know, a week or two, you may want to talk to your vet about what other options they have for flea and tick control.
Okay, other than the NexGard, what would be the best product that you would suggest? Because I don't want a flea in my house.
Well, it
blame
depends if we think your dog is allergic to the flavoring, because if it is, then that knocks out quite a few of the options because they're oral. You know, NexGard, Provecto, Comfortis.
And he did the same thing before.
Right. So Comfortis has flavoring in it as well, although it's not quite as yummy. It does have flavoring in it. So, you know, if that's the case, then you're probably going to need to go to a topical Advantage or Frontline, which they work well. They don't work quite as well as the orals, but you kind of have to pick your battle. And do you want an itchy dog, or do you want, you know, a little tiny bit less flea control? I think the Frontline and Advantage probably work 98.5% of the time. I think the orals work probably 99% of the time. It's a very small difference. So,
what do you think about the flea collars, those the month ones or whatever they are?
The ones that last for 8 months, the Seresto?
Yes.
I think they work well. They're flea and tick collars. The trick with those is that they do have to be snug. I see them quite frequently on friends' dogs, and they're like dangling around the, you know, they've got this big old necklace on, and it's not doing any good. It has to be kind of snug, but you can't get it too tight. So it's a little bit of a trick to make sure you get it appropriately. I think they work well. I personally am not a fan of having a flea collar out there for everybody to get their hands on, although the Seresto collar is supposedly super safe. The reps have come into our clinic and actually chewed on it for proof that it's okay around small children. But that's not my personal preference, and my dog doesn't have a problem with the orals, so I give that to her. But I think it is a very good product. It's expensive, but it lasts for 8 months, which is super nice.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. She's done her research. Good
Yeah.
questions. Good. Let's go next to Robert. Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Rob, how can we help you?
Okay, I have a cat that has an itching in the neck area, and now he's starting to itch other places, but it's not fleas. Could it be something else?
How do you know it's not fleas?
when you give them a bath to kill the fleas and ticks and stuff, I never get no fleas dead.
Okay. Well, I would definitely go see your vet. Itching and scabs and stuff around the neck are a pretty classic sign of flea allergic dermatitis, which means that your cat had a flea or two, and they can get, when they get bitten by the flea, they're actually allergic to the flea bite and the saliva in the flea. You think about a flea and saliva, I know it's weird.
Yeah.
But then they get this kind of allergic reaction and they're itchy and they scratch, and it's common to have that around their neck, around their tail base, kind of on their back, right by their tail. But I would definitely take them to the vet. I see a lot of pets that people say they don't have fleas, there's no way that my cat has a flea, and I can usually find flea dirt, which is flea poop, and sometimes a flea. Fleas are really hard to find because they move really quickly. As soon as you touch the cat here, it's moving, and so fleas are very challenging to find, but flea dirt can't move, easy to find. But I would definitely go see your vet and see if they find any sign of fleas or if they find something else going on. There are other things that can cause it, but it's going to need an exam to figure it out.
And if your pet is allergic to flea bites, what is the treatment? Aside from keeping the fleas off them, but still.
Year-round flea control is kind of the first thing. You just have to keep that animal on flea control year-round so they don't get any fleas. Or at least if they get fleas, they get killed quickly enough that they're not biting them. And then sometimes they might need antibiotics if the skin is bad enough. Sometimes they might get some steroids to decrease the inflammation and make them feel better. So it just kind of depends on the case and the vet.
Gotcha. All right, let's go next. We have another Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
I have a pretty quick question. I have a Pomeranian. She's about 4.5 pounds, and this is my second one. The first one lived to be 18.5, and this is my second one, and she's 2. I have a problem, and I wanted to know if Allison had heard of this before, of her back knee. I'm going to call it knee. I don't know what else to call it.
It's a knee.
Keeps going out, and so did my first one. Is there anything I can do to prevent that? Because that's pretty dang painful when that goes out like that.
Well, first, it's a luxating patella is what's probably happening if I'm understanding you correctly. It's actually not as painful as we might think it is, according to the studies. What it actually does is the dog will hold their leg up and not use it, and we think it's painful, but it's because it's completely unstable. So think of your kneecap if it got moved to the side, and when it happens like this, not traumatically, which is what happens in these small breed dogs, they're not painful because we give them pain meds and it doesn't change their activity level at all. It's just unstable. That's not how that leg was designed to work. With the kneecap was here, and if it moves over here, there's not the stability, so they hold it up, and then all of a sudden they kind of, and it's back where it needs to go, and they're running around just fine. So it's common in small breed dogs, as a Pomeranian is. So there's different grades of this happening, and your veterinarian can do an exam and kind of grade it. We do grade 1, 2, and 3, and depending on how severe it is and how often it happens, surgery is actually the only thing that will correct it. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. She was just born with, instead of having like a nice big groove where this patella sits, the groove can be really shallow, which allows this to kind of slide around.
Gotcha. So it's genetic. It's not something she suffered a trauma that caused it.
So it's very common in small breed dogs. If it happens every once in a while, once or twice a week, a lot of times, let's just keep an eye on it. If it's happening every day or the dog's just totally not using that leg at all, they probably need to ask their veterinarian. Some veterinarians, general practitioners, will do this surgery. Some will refer you to an orthopedic surgeon. And so you just need to talk to your vet about what the options are. And then if they say, oh, well, we do that surgery, great. If they say we can refer you to a surgeon, then you can talk to them about when's the appropriate time to do this surgery and how much it costs and what the downtime is and everything else.
No idea of using a brace or something or a wrap, or is there anything that you could put on there to hold it in place? What? Those sheaths that you pull up your knee when you play basketball because you hurt your knee?
But you're a person.
Well, I mean, a dog gets used to it. They may not. You spray it with dog away and they don't want to bite at it?
They don't make stuff like that, and no, it's not going to help.
I bet you could fabricate something like that.
No, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't listen to him. Don't do it.
Well, I mean, just to keep it in place. So when you do have a surgical procedure, what do? They build up the groove so it holds?
Usually what they do is there's a couple of different ways, but what I learned when I was in school, which is the old way, you actually go in and dig this groove out.
Okay.
So you make it deeper with a rasp, and then that thing sits in there and can't get out.
I get you.
Now there's something that they do that they take the bone, I think, where that ligament attaches and kind of move it over, which then I don't do that surgery, obviously, anymore.
Yeah,
I've done them the old way years ago, but we refer them all now to surgeons.
Gotcha. On that note, let's take a break. When we come back, if you're on hold, Ann and others stay there. We have some lines open. We're going to 9 o'clock. If you have a question or comment, and we've had some good ones this morning, give us a ring. You see the number on the screen. She'll answer it for you right after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.